Okay, as I was saying, not good with change. I need structure. I have certain things I do every day. Even though it would seem that living on my own I wouldn't have any structure, I actually have a lot of structure. Because I get up and there are certain things I do every day. I get up, I get dressed, I film, I edit, I watch TV, I cook. All of those things get done every day. And around the same times every day. So, um, sometimes I go out with Bob, which messes with my schedule, but at the same time, I enjoy it, and I do need to go shopping sometimes. So, um, but when I have a routine, like at the Historical Society and with Lori leaving, that dumped my apple cart right over and rolled the apples down Main Street. It took me a bit to pick them all up, put it back together, and say it's going to be okay. But um, you know, I never understood, and I used to cry because I'm different. And I didn't want to be different. Why am I different? Why can I not understand? Why can I not figure out that this person's joking with me? Why can't I figure, you know what I mean? Just, yeah, just infuriating to me. And I guess maybe for some people it doesn't bother them that much. Um, it depends. But like I said, autism is a tightly wound instrument. It leaves your central nervous system a tightly wound instrument. So that touch even, and I can remember, and boy did it explain a lot, when I was a kid and my mother would we would be sitting together and I didn't even want to be touched. But I didn't know how to explain it, and I'd kind of be rude about it. Um, and she'd go to play with my hair. I'd be like, there are times that I literally get overstimulated by the touch of my own body parts against each other. I know that sounds funny, but I'll literally be in bed with my feet crossed and just my feet touching each other is overstimulating. It sounds absurd, but it just depends on the day and what my nervous system is feeling like. Right now I'm sitting with my feet crossed and I'm fine. Of course, I don't want my feet touching each other. My heel is touching. But anyway, like I said, my social issues. Nobody ever recognized it. I talked about facial expressions, body language. Here's one that I didn't realize. Obsessive interests. You have certain set interests that are obsessive. I remember being so upset one night because we didn't set the VCR to record my wrestling. I was sobbing because we had gone out. I was a kid. And nobody could understand. Like, she's obsessed with that. Mm-hmm. But why? Um, Basically, mine were wrestling, reading, Genealogy is now a huge obsessive interest for me. But as you know, talking about touch and how overstimulating it is, nobody would have understood back in the 80s when I said to my mom, "Don't touch me. Don't play with my hair. Don't touch me." And we'd be sitting too close on the couch, and I'd just be like, "I want to get away." But it wasn't from her. And I think that's, I read a lot of questions. Do autistic children love their parents? And the answer was, yeah, of course they do. But their parents have to learn to take cues from their expressions of love. When they're ready to hug, when they're ready to, because sometimes it's overstimulating. And that's why I was so surprised when they said Anthony Hopkins was diagnosed as a kid, like as a teenager. I mean, I know he's English. Maybe they had, I don't know, maybe it was different over there, but gosh almighty, he's a lot older than I am. And nobody even recognized it in the 80s here the way we recognize it today. The meltdowns. I can explain that so clearly. I was with Diane. Remember, she gave me a sweatshirt with a sloth on it that says, "I'll be all right. I just need to be dramatic first." Because I wasn't doing exactly what she was trying to talk me into doing, something that wasn't exactly the way my mother told me to do it in the grocery store. I melted down. I was overstimulated. I didn't know what the heck to do. And I just remembered, I said this to her and my mother, I was able to explain it when I got home. Everything went blank. I couldn't see, concentrate, hear, nothing. It just went blank. It was like a switch was shut off. And when Diane yelled at me, she brought me back to reality. Because she was kind of bothered that she yelled at me in public. No, Diane, I needed that. Because I was gone. I've always had a hard time with textures. Don't like rough. Don't, with eating, crunchy, hard. Like hard, I don't do well with like hard candy, apples, pears. I don't like those textures. Certain textures to feel with my hands. Like the soapiness when my mother would wash me and she would, be all soaping me up when I was, like 3, 4 years old. I would just be like, and it's like this switch of total overstimulation turns on, and it's like every light bulb in your central nervous system is turned on. Like one central master circuit is just turned on, and it's just like, stop. But you don't have the words at 3, 4 years old to say that. Anxiety, because of that. You can have learning disabilities. In my case, my learning disabilities were more related to my cerebral palsy. But I wanted to talk to you guys about that because I wanted it out there what this condition is. The central nervous system, like I said, is a finely tuned instrument. And it is there. Not only, obviously, your brain is there and made to learn things, but your central nervous system is a lot more than your brain. Your brain and spinal cord are all the circuit breakers for all the rest of your nerves in your body. So you can feel touch. So I can feel the buttons on the remote control and know which button to press. Or, oh, the stove is still kind of hot. Why am I trying to wash that now? That sort of thing. If the fact that there's a light on that says hot surface beneath it wasn't enough. I kid you not. I have a light at the front of my stove that turns on, is red, and right beneath that light it says hot surface. And I still have managed to try to wash it with that light on. So that's your central nervous system at work. And I am not sure why reading people's emotions is so hard. Figuring out, like, are you joking with me? Are you serious? What does that facial expression even mean? What does that tone of voice even mean? Your brain didn't develop those tools for whatever reason. So, which for me is probably the most frustrating thing, because it does make it very difficult socially. It always has. I really think that they should have used the opportunity with Sheldon on The Big Bang Theory as an adult. To go through the testing and show what it is, what the diagnosis is, because the good doctor already had the diagnosis. But to go through it from jump, even to have a show where you have a kid who is seemingly misbehaving, which was me, someone kind of like me, who's having problems socially and just having some trouble with certain things in school, and have them go through, have the teacher say, maybe they need the test, the ADOS or something along those lines, and have them go through those steps. Write a show where they go through those steps, and how getting the diagnosis can make all the difference. Because then you're understood, and they can help you overcome some of the things. I got the diagnosis at almost 50 years old. I can't overcome an entire lifetime of not being able to read people. But if you get the diagnosis when you're little, you might be able to learn those things. Because your brain is still developing, you might be able to teach it those things, I don't know, but that's just a thought. It would make a great TV show. And it would be able to show how quote-unquote neurotypical siblings and how parents deal with it, and maybe have one of the parents say, as they're watching their child go through the testing and go through the process of being treated, that a lot of this reminds me of me, and going through and being tested as an adult, and the juxtaposition and all of that. I just think that it would make an interesting drama series. Like, I'm trying to think of a title for it. And you could even have one be diagnosed very young and juxtaposition, you know what I mean? Like 3, 4 years old, and juxtaposition that to one that wasn't diagnosed until, like, I almost said middle school, junior high school. I can't do the whole middle school thing. And sort of juxtaposition that with a neurotypical child and with one parent that's neurotypical and one parent that figures out that, hey, wait a minute, I am mildly autistic myself. And then they get the genetic testing, and you can go through the whole thing, throughout their life, dealing with and it can be lighthearted moments, of course, and more difficult moments. When I read that it was so highly heritable, one of the first things I thought of was looking at my parents and looking at my family as a whole, genetically. No, my mother. I don't believe was. My mother had ooh, ow, issues from her horrendous childhood. My father's childhood was pretty horrendous too. But the difference was my father had a mother who absolutely worshipped him. Didn't mean she wouldn't tell him where to go from time to time. But I think out of the two, my father was more likely to have had some form of it. I was thinking about it because of the high heritability of it. And out of the two, I think my father would have been the one. Which is why you see multiple siblings with it in a family, because of the high heritability. If a parent has it, yeah, one of their children's, likely to have it. Doesn't mean that you can't have a child to be a good parent and whatever. It just means your child will have to be watched so they can be diagnosed at the youngest point possible. That's all. Some people would say, well, you shouldn't have children. Baloney. And more males are diagnosed than females. They say it's more common in males. They say CP is too. Well, that's funny because I don't think brain injury cares whether you're male or female, but autism, you definitely see more males than females. There's no question. Although Dr. Temple Grandin's a good example. Amazing lady, God rest her soul. She was just a champion for the world of autism. and just a light, a true light for that world. And I thank the good Lord that she existed. Anyway, we're going to get to this big job. I've spent way too long talking, which means it's going to be a long edit. Well, not a long edit, but a long upload. But that's okay. That's okay. Actually, the producing part will take longer because it's a longer video. But anyway, God bless you. Please join me for Ramona Price on the other channel. And in the end cards on that video will be the Mac Ray Edwards video, because she's believed to possibly be one of his victims. Excuse me. God bless you, and I will see you in a moment. Thank you to all the new subscribers on both channels. We're doing amazing. I know we can make it to 200 on this channel by the 4th of July and 500 on the other channel by August 4th. Bye, guys. Stay safe. It is pouring.